Hey guys, it's Jessica Leichtweisz. So yesterday I put out that I'm going to be offering free autism support during this crisis. I really am praying for your families. I've had a ton of parents contact me this morning saying we just started homeschooling our kids and it's just not working. So people have some questions. So I'm going to be going through the questions and answering them. I'm going to be posting a lot of videos today. So if you're a subscriber to the channel, if you're getting lots of notifications, the reason there's so many videos going out is because I'm getting so many questions. So one of the questions being sent in is a grandparent saying that their grandson is engaging in a lot more stimming behavior. She wants to know if it's common if other kids are doing that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what stimming is from autism. So stimming, if you're not familiar with the term, it has to do with repetitive body movements, running back and forth, making repetitive sounds, lining things up, hand flapping. It's the things that really probably drive parents the most nuts about autism. And, you know, at every point, some parent just is like, please just stop for a minute, right? A lot of times it's loud, it's disruptive. I kind of hesitant to say this, but it's the part that can be really annoying for parents, right? It just doesn't stop. And so, and we don't understand it. We don't fully understand why kids do it. Well, all the research shows kids do it just because it's gratifying for them to do it. In ABA terms, it's considered an automatic behavior, meaning the behavior itself provides the reinforcement. It has nothing to do with another person. But at a brain and neurological level, we're starting to understand more about what's going on in a child's brain. So I'm going to break it down into the most simple term possible. So essentially, whenever anyone, right, is interacting with their environment, we're using our senses, our sense of hearing, our sense of touch, our sense of sight, smell, taste. We talked about yesterday, there's also two other senses that we don't always talk about, the vestibular and proprioception sense, but basically to gather information and stimulus from our environment. And that's done through our neurons that then travels into our brain, and our brain makes sense of it. It has to integrate all that information, and then it sends information back to our motor neurons, which tells us how to respond to that. Well, in that process, somewhere in a child's brain, something goes awry. And that's why a child is engaging in stimming behaviors. Essentially, they're getting faulty information to their motor neurons. So it's causing them to act out in more repetitive body movements or to line things up. It's causing them to do these typical stimming behaviors. So to answer the original question, is it common for that to be worse on some days than others? Simply put, yes. So as an adult, it may seem more obvious. At the end of the day, or if you didn't get a lot of sleep, you might have a shorter fuse, right? You might be more irritated by things in your environment. Maybe if you have a headache, you don't want to hear loud music. And maybe if you're at the end of the day, you just have decision fatigue. You've been working really hard all day. In the evening, your spouse is talking to you and you're like, what? I can't even listen to you, right? So as an adult, it may be easier to understand what's going on for kids with autism if you think about how you're feeling. And even just, and this may seem like an awkward analogy, but if you drink a couple glasses of wine and then you try to listen to an audiobook, are you really going to get everything out of it? So it's kind of similar to children. A lot of things affect their ability to integrate information. So we know that kids with autism have issues with integrating sensory information and being able to respond to it. This is, again, taking place in the brain. It's not something we can see. It's only something science recently started to understand and recently started to have the technology to measure with things like functional MRIs and PET scans. But essentially, anything can affect a child's ability to do that. The amount of sleep that they get, what they ate the day before, stress in the environment, where they are. So many things can play a factor into that. So yes, it's common for all kids with autism to stim some days more and some days they're not stimming. And it could be the exact same thing. They could play with toy cars one day. I have this boy I work with, he loves to watch cars go around the track. One day he does it and it doesn't cause any issues. Another day it causes him to engage in a lot of stimming behavior, which is really disruptive for him. Some days you can take the cars off the track and he's fine. Some days you can't. And it's not always a choice for the child. It has to do with how their brain is processing information that day. So I really hope that this got your question answered. Please keep the questions coming. I really, really want to get them answered for you. So if you have a question, the best way to get it to me, go to my website, hopeeducationservices.com, drop your name and your email in a form that pops up. You'll get an automatic email with me with a free gift. Respond to that email with your question. I am going through a list today. I'm going to be posting tons of videos and answering tons of questions. So please make sure you get me yours. Again, prayers are with you during this difficult time. If things are not working as you're homeschooling your child, I'm here. I'm supporting you. Where you're not in this alone. I'm on your team, and I'm fighting for your child. All right, make it an amazing day. Look forward to answering more questions and really hearing how these strategies are helping you.